Okay, this is the oil level for an h600, l800. Misconceptions about these mixers is that the oil is all the way above the gears, which it is not. It's only at this level, and it's also at that level inside the transmission case, and we're actually going to show you. Also going to talk about the lower unit and how it's a separate oiled system than the top unit, which is a misconception as well. People think this is part of this, and it's not. And it also is open. There's no seal here. So we're going to start with the bottom unit. This is what they call the drip cup ring. It's all the same as on a cage model, except the back splashes on that. And if you can look in here, you'll see this one actually does have some oil in it. And what happens is oil gets slung out of here and gets caught by the drip cup if it's a little too full or if it's been tilted. So you're going to see something when we take this off. The center bolt holds the lower unit in. See, when I drop it down, it's open. There's no seals in here. And you can see it has oil in the bottom, and this one's a little over full. It's only supposed to have enough oil in the well down here, as you can see. And there's a plug right here on the side. If you actually could see the level, it's a little too high. So what happens when this spins around, this oil gets slung out the side, and if you didn't have the drip cup here, you can see how much oil is up on this, it's going to get thrown out. And people think there's a seal bad, but it's not. It's just a matter of this being over full, or same way. If you're putting the mixer in for the first time, and you're tilting it back to get it through a doorway, well, guess what happens? All this oil can actually come right out of the machine like that. And then when you go back up, so your drip cup gets so full of oil that now it's coming out of the machine when you first run it for the first few weeks. So most people don't realize they should try to keep these machines as flat as possible when they're bringing them inside a store for the first time. We don't like to ship them without any oil in them because somebody forgets and they'll burn up the gears. But this uses a pump in the lower unit to help spray this little bit of oil in this tray on your gears. So it doesn't need to be full of oil. So that takes care of the lower unit. Move this to the side. Now, as you can see there, the oil level is still here. No oil has come out of this transmission because it's separate. This is where the oil gets filled into here, but not above the level. We'll take the top transmission case off. We have already taken the gears and bearings off, the supports off the top to make it quicker. As you can see in here, the oil level is way down below the motor. This is actually the motor, electric motor shaft. And again, there's an O-ring around the outside of the motor, but through the shaft there's no seal. It's a bearing with a rubber seal, but it's not meant to keep oil out of it full time. It actually pushes the oil back in if it's just sprayed on. So if you overfill this, you can have oil come out the motor shaft. And as you see here, you can also have oil come out your front shaft because this is above the oil level. What happens is people open these up and they think, oh my God, they need to be way up here to fill the oil up. But what happens here is this is a motor and a slinger. It's like an oil pump. It picks up the oil at the bottom of the slinger and slings it on the gears, and then the oil runs back to the bottom. So again, if you tilt this mixer too much, you can have oil get up in here where it doesn't belong, too much oil, and then it'll work its way out the front snout or your auxiliary drive. The other thing is there's a metal tube you can't see underneath this shaft, and it's open at the top. It only comes up to about here. If you tilt this mixer too much, same thing happens. You've got an open cup and the oil will come into here, and then it will work its way down the shaft into the lower unit. And eventually you'll see oil dropping into your product. And most all the oil leaks from the machine, 90% of the time, are from tilting the machine during installation and overfilling the machine, and not from a seal. The only seal that holds this oil away from the bottom unit is this tube that's in here that has a seal around the bottom of it. Very rarely do those go bad. Again, like I said, it's usually just from overfilling it. wanted to go and grab a tube assembly off of another mixer. This is the tube assembly that would be actually below this gear. And you can see it bolts on and sealed here. But if your oil level is down here normally, if you tilt the machine too far and oil gets up inside this tube, inside the machine, it's got nowhere to go to eventually work its way out past the bearings. There's no seals down here to keep the oil out. So again, if you overfill it or tip it too far, the oil gets in here, you're just going to have to wait for it to work its way out. Or you'd actually have to pay somebody to pull all the gears out, to pull the tube out, and reseal the tube. So it's very important that you keep the fluid levels proper, the right kind of oil, not too heavy a grade oil. We never put more than a 200 grade oil in here. You don't put the grease out of the smaller mixers in here, because then the pump can't get it up to the top gears, and you'll ruin the top gears. But that's a real quick lesson on the oil system for the Hobart h600 and l800.